All right, this next question was called in, so I'm translating that it translated into text. It's pretty clear, so it says this. How would you lovingly, biblically respond to your sister who has said that she searched the Bible and prayed about it and feels as though the Lord has brought her to vote Biden? Most of the argument I have heard from her is that if we get his healthcare policy, in parentheses, birth control, it would lessen abortion and somehow give Christians a better chance to witness to them, a better chance than under President Trump, because they wouldn't have Christians condemning abortions, because they wouldn't have to have so many, and that would make them feel more comfortable with us Christians, more willing to listen to the gospel spoken in love.
I would just go through and read her the party platform.
And explain what that is.
Well, you can go to the Democratic Party website. They have a platform, and what a platform is all the things that they're for and all the things that they're against. And so I would go through and read the party platform to my sister and say, are you for this? Are you for this? Are you for this? Are you for this? And these things are obviously sin. And so she's mistaken about health care. That's just nonsense. There is no health care that's being taken away from anybody, and especially when you're talking about birth control. There is no birth control that's being taken away from anybody by a Republican. And so I don't even know where she would get that. What the Democrat Party is doing is they're condoning not only abortion, but they're in the process of condoning infanticide now. And so they want to make abortion legal after death, or excuse me, after birth.
Yep. Which means you
at
give
this point.
birth to the baby,
right?
They put it on a table, haul it out, and kill it.
Right. Yep. Just let it die. And that is not a godly thing. You don't want to be involved in that kind of stuff. And so that's murder in the worst way. You take the most innocent of lives and you take them away, and that's just over the top. It's amazing how callous we've become to things that actually revolt God on levels that you don't even know. God, with the people of Israel, when you go through the book of Jeremiah, I might have her go through and read some of those passages too. When you go through the book of Jeremiah, one of the reasons that Israel was thrown out of the land of Israel is specifically because of killing of babies. And so God talks about them having their children pass through the fire. And what that's speaking about is child sacrifice. And so I need to give you a little explanation of what was going on there. In pagan cultures, the worship of the pagan gods included sexual immorality. And so when you read about Baal is a fertility god. When you read about Bel is a fertility god. Molech, all these gods were fertility gods at the same time that they were kind of gods over areas. And so when an Israelite would defect from the worship of Jehovah and begin worshiping Baal, part of Baal worship was going to a temple and having sex with prostitutes. Where they got the prostitutes was from the general populace. And so whether you're talking about Babylon or whether you're talking about Canaan, whatever pagan culture you're talking about, they had prostitutes that would come from the general populace, and for a period of time they would prostitute themselves in the temples. And so for a month out of the year, the Canaanites, for example, whether you were a man or a woman, and it didn't matter if you were married, you became a prostitute at a Canaanite temple. Well, so that means my wife goes down and she becomes a prostitute for a month, and anybody who comes in can have sex with her, and at the end of the month she's free. But guess what? Babies come from that. So now she comes home pregnant, and I don't want that kid. And so what they would do with the kids is they would take them and they would offer them up as a sacrifice. After they were born, they would burn them alive. And it's a cycle that went on. And that's where this stuff comes from. And it's something that's considered to be vile by God. And we're not doing anything that's different. It's like we go out and we decide that we worship sex, and we have no restraints on our lust and on our flesh, and then we get the products of that, and we don't want to have the consequences that come from having a kid. And so what we do is we go and get rid of it. It's exactly the same thing. And it's what got Israel tossed out of the land. Now, specifically, God talks about the blood of children is crying out to me from the land. God takes this very seriously. And so just in the specific area that she's speaking about, I would be going through, and I just recommend you go through and read Jeremiah. And there are a number of passages in there. It's totally worth the whole read. There are a number of passages in there that speak to this issue. And God does not put up with it. That's not great logic there.
And the thing that hit me with that is that you don't compromise on an issue that's clear cut when you have somebody that's pro-life compromising to somebody that is clearly, in fact, I read an article today that I think is in reference to what you said, that Biden, the Democrat Party, is pushing the infanticide policy as the Democrat platform. But to say that, if we have more access to birth control, it would allow Christians to be in a better light and witness and not have so many abortions. These people are hard-hearted to the point where they're going and having abortions. So to compromise and say that if we swap sides, which you already mentioned, the policy is incorrect, because that you can go get birth control anywhere.
Right,
And
you don't want to get it from Planned Parenthood, by the way. There's been some indication that the birth control that gets passed out from Planned Parenthood is weaker, so that people end up getting babies out of it. So I would never go to Planned Parenthood for birth control.
But just finish my thought on compromise. Let's stand for the party that clearly says babies can live. Versus whatever weird logic or compromised understanding to go and try and do that. That makes absolutely no sense as a believer to come to that conclusion.
I have never voted for anybody that is okay with abortion since I started voting. And so I became a believer. Not one person that I've ever voted for was pro-abortion. And if even, I don't care what the rest of their platform is, if they can't figure that one out, I've got problems with pretty much everything that's going on in their life.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty simple thing. You take a biology class. I don't know.